Hey guys and girls, you join me, FoxGreen, in sunny Ireland. Well, maybe not sunny. But anyway, guys, today we're here to do another review video, and this one again is by Nov, but believe it or not, this is one I was actually turned down the first time I was asked to do because it's a product that I didn't think I would actually use at all. And actually it's a product that I personally wouldn't use, but we're going to get into that in a little while. But as you know, the product is his new scope cam, or clip cam as Nov is calling it. But I changed my mind essentially because a lot of people started to come up to me and saying, look, this is actually a camera I'd be interested in. So these are regular people that don't want to get into YouTube. And I thought to myself, Nov is actually quite clever here. I think he's actually caught onto a little bit of a niche market. He's essentially developed a camera that's not for YouTubers. It's for people who just want quick clips and they want to like post those clips or maybe use them for other reasons. But that's essentially what he's targeted his camera towards. So I kind of said, look, all right, it's not for me, but let me bring a decent, honest review about this camera and what it offers. And let's compare it also to my absolute go-to, which is my Runcam Scope Cam 4K. The reason why I wouldn't use this as a YouTuber is this isn't a camera that records continuously all the time when you turn it on. This is a camera that you turn on and it's recording in the background, but not saving it. And say you get into a firefight and you shoot a few guys, the second that firefight's over, you press the button on the back. It basically saves the footage 17 seconds before pressing that button. So like back in time. In total, the clip is 17 seconds. So I think it's 14 before the button click and maybe 3 after the button click. But it's, you know, it's an interesting camera. And you might think, why is Nov doing a camera that only does that? And the reason is it's to appeal to the masses. And he's kind of saying it's basic marketing towards a cheater cam. Now, I think this is perfect for somebody who just wants to get some cool clips of the action they had during the day, maybe post it up on Instagram. But finally, another thing that swung me towards doing this review was actually the fact that Nov has made this an out-of-the-box camera. The idea with this camera is you take it out of the box, and as soon as you do, there's no settings to mess with, no focusing the lens or anything like you might have with a camera like this, no changing the EV composition, no messing with frame rates. It is just stuck default to the best camera setting that you need to just record good clips. So as a YouTuber, if you get a camera like this, which is a bit more advanced in what it can do, you do have to mess with the settings to get the best out of it. And people continuously message me and say, look, I have the same Runcam as you. How are you getting good footage? And I'm like, okay, I turn my EV comp down to -3. I turn it to center weighted, and I talk and I tell them all my settings that I put in. But most people aren't interested in that. They don't understand it, and they just want something that you take out of the box, like what Nov is known for, and just does what it's meant to do and work. Simplicity. So that was the reason I changed my mind and said, look, I'm going to bring this review to you guys, my followers. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's compare both these. Let's show you both their features. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. So guys, just to clarify, Nov sent me this to do a review video. Not received any money or anything like that. So this is just my take on this camera, having used it and played around it and tested it here in front of you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first let's get into the features of this camera. So let's get it out of the box here and let's see what we're dealing with. So as you can see, you got our camera, we got our foam insert, we've got our instructions, which are quite simple, and Type-C cable, okay? Okay, let's get all this to one side and actually out of the way altogether. So taking a good look at this camera, right, what we notice first of all is that you got a bit of a shade over here, not quite a sunshade, right? We'll get into that in a little second. This is made out of some kind of metal. Then the body of this is plastic, and we have a metal base plate on here for mounting to a Picatinny rail, which actually is nice because you can see this profile here, this metal profiling. That is actually a heatsink for keeping the camera cool when it's recording in hot weather. And this is a problem that GoPros actually face. They shut down in hot weather. And this just basically makes the area for airflow over the camera and under the camera, which is why it's designed like that, better and better airflow, cooling the camera down. Now underneath we've a very, very small reset button as well. And the actual mount here is metal, so that's not weak. On the bottom here we've got a battery indicator LED, we've got power on and recording LED, and we've also got a Wi-Fi LED on top with one microphone up top, one hole for one. I don't see anywhere else, and actually we'll get into the audio on this a bit later, what I think about it. But as well as that, overall I suppose it feels quite light, and we're going to weigh this versus one of my typical cameras I always use, the Runcam, quite soon to see what they compare. But I have a feeling the Runcam is going to be a good bit heavier. So it comes stock with a 25mm lens. So the higher the number of millimeters, the more zoomed in it is. So 25mm is really good for kind of, 50 meters roughly. So for AEG gameplay, it's really good. If you're sniping, you probably want to up that to 35, maybe 40 in countries where you got 2 joules and more. And that just zooms it in a bit more. Now, the cool thing with most cameras, and you can see it here, is you can screw off this lens cap and you can actually take off the lens and take it out and put in. You can buy them on Foxier website, and on Amazon you can buy lenses with 35, 40mm zoom. And they're all standard fit. You'll have no issue. So even though Norwich only sells a 25mm lens, which you can see marked on the camera there, you have no problem actually putting in others if you really wanted to zoom it in. One thing I will say is out of the box, this lens comes really well focused. And if I was to twist this nut and twist the lens, that will unfocus it. So if you're screwing out your lens or putting a new one in, you have to keep twisting till you get perfect focus, so your camera looks totally clear. So what you might notice here is there's a Type-C charging on the back. You got this little piece which just sits in there to keep the water and rain out. Pity that it doesn't have one of those little holes to keep it in place. So you could actually drop and lose this, which is a bit annoying. But Type-C is really nice to see. You might notice that there's no SD card slot for this. And that's because this is a Clipcam and it's only designed to take very short clips, unlike the Runcam cameras, which are going to be recording all the time when you press the button. So the idea of this is it's got internal storage and it's got 30 gigabytes, and that's all it needs, because that will actually get you an awful lot of clips. Now that gets me onto the other bit. This camera isn't 4K, it's 1080 with 60 FPS. Now the 60 FPS is good because you can slow that down and get your nice slow-mo shots. But as we'll show on the computer later, the clips that come out of this are not 16:19 ratio, like a TV ratio. They're actually 1:1, so they're square. And the reason for that is this isn't really made for YouTube shots. It's made for getting nice little clips and quickly uploading them to Instagram. Now, with that said, you could use it for YouTube shots, but you're just going to have to crop way in, and you're going to, as it's only 1080, you're going to lose some resolution doing that. I personally would like to see it at maybe 2K, 2.7K, or 4K, so you could crop in and actually still use it for YouTube clips. The battery in this should last you about 3 hours, so it's an 1800 milliamp hour battery, and even though it only records when you press the button, it's always on, so it is actually always kind of recording ghost files, and it's only when you press the button does it actually save that file on there. So when you turn it on, you still only get 3 hours. I think the Runcams are quite similar, maybe to 4 hours on some of those. So the dimensions, so it's actually very same size as a Runcam. So essentially it's 113 millimeters long, it's 47 millimeters wide, and it's 37 millimeters tall. So yeah, it's a nice little package, not overly big, which is good. Now, another nice thing to note is you can actually record with this plugged in and charging. So if you want to run an external power bank on your Airsoft replica or anything like that, you can still actually record while it's plugged in, which is nice. Another important thing is it is ISO compatible and it's Android compatible. And we'll be taking a look at the app on this when we connect it via Wi-Fi quite soon. So first of all, let's do a quick little weight test on this to see what it weighs compared to the Runcam 4K. As you can see, both cameras side by side look very similar in height and size. So first of all, let's go with the Runcam, which is an all-metal build. So that's coming in at 129 grams, okay? Now let's try the Novrich one. And this is coming in at 117 grams. So lighter plastic body is reducing the weight a little bit. So yeah, it's good to know it's a little bit lighter essentially. Now while I have these cameras side by side, you can quite easily see they look quite similar. But the main differences are that this one, the waterproof flap, actually stays in place, which I really, really like. And you know, this is IP67, so it's very good rating. Whereas this, Norwich doesn't say, but it looks very waterproof, it looks very tight. There doesn't look like many areas for water to get in. However, I actually don't know what the rating is on this camera. But I suspect you'll have no problem in rain. Looking at this, you could tell it should have no issue in rain at all. But I wouldn't be that keen to submerge it without Novrich clarifying what the rating actually is. So price-wise, this is actually €99, so it's actually very cheap for a scope camera, which is really good to see. And it is designed to be an out-of-box solution that you just pull it out of the box, you press the power button to turn it on, and then very quickly, in a few seconds, when that light stops blinking, it is ready to start its recording features. And I like that. It didn't need to be focused out of the box or anything. Take for example this Runcam here. Like I had to slightly focus it to get it to work nicer and just get that real sharp image. Now Novrich seems to have done quite a good job making sure this camera is just kind of ready to plug and play. So you can pull it out of the box and in seconds you're off recording, whereas there's a little bit more fine tuning with this. There's more settings in the app for this, so you can change things like EV compensation, center metering where your crosshairs is, where it changes the lighting to where it's pointed. So if you're pointing in a really dark window, it'll brighten up that dark window and overexpose the outer edges. There's none of that in the Novrich one, but it seems that the default settings are kind of well catered. So, and that's the clip that it's going to save. Now to connect it to the Wi-Fi is very simple. You can see the battery indicator light isn't lit up actually, first of all. So that means that it's not running low. When that light starts showing up, you know you're getting low on battery. Now to connect to the Wi-Fi, we just press the power button once and you'll get an orange light indicating your Wi-Fi is on. Then if I simply go in to my phone and find the Novrich app, which is in the manual actually when you get it, there's a little QR code and you can scan it to find the app. But if I click on my camera and go to connect, it will bring up my Wi-Fi settings and you should see after a few seconds that the Novrich CLIPCAM will show up. We select that guy and then we can just go back, just hit connect again, and you'll see straight away we've got connection. So let me just turn down my audio a sec. So on my phone. So as you can see here, it's focusing on what I'm pointing it at, and I can actually, there's only a few functions in this, but I can actually zoom in again digitally like that, like so, if I want. I can spin the footage 180 degrees like so for mounting it underneath. Other than that, the information you get is very basic. You can see my battery percentage is 70%. And if I go into settings, this is where I can clear the footage or format my SD card, what firmware version it is, whether it beeps or not when I turn it on, and whether I want the footage to be time-stamped or not. But other than that, there's very little. So if I go into like media, I can see all my clips, which will show up. If I go to camera, I guess, yeah, there's my 2 clips that I just recorded. So yeah, you can watch back stuff and do anything like that you want, but it's very basic. It's really simple. It's made to be simplified and there's no fuss or mess with it. Again, other little things you can do in the app, which you can't really do by looking at this, is you can check the percentage of battery and the amount of storage you've used. So, you know, you can see if you're getting quite close to having used all that 30 gig a bit internal storage. So again, that's very handy. Okay, so now we're going to test out both these cameras side by side, so show you what they actually capture, how zoomed in they are, and what the quality is. Now, this is on 4K 30, and this is on the max setting. So this is the max setting for this one, but this one then is on 1080-60, which is the max setting for the Novice one. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the actual Runcam. So as you can see here, the light comes on, it vibrates to let me know it's turning on, and it's now recording. Next, for the Novice one, I have to press and hold the on button, and I can't start recording until this light stops, because it's actually now getting its first 16 seconds of footage, or sorry, 14 seconds of footage. And when that goes solid, that light, I'm then able to actually work away with it. So let's just give it a second. So now, this one is already recording its footage, the Runcam. But in order for me to record with this one, I have to press the button, and it'll actually record back over what I've just been saying of the last 16 or seconds or so. So let me just show you that now. But in order for me to record with this one, I have to press the button, and it'll actually record back over what I've just been saying of the last 16 or seconds or so. So let me just show you that now. So now if I want to move the camera and let's record at a different location just to show what it is at a further distance, I'll move the camera, and again after a few seconds when I'm happy, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to press the record button on the Novice one again. And let's record at a different location just to show what it is at a further distance. I'll move the camera, and again after a few seconds when I'm happy, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to press the record button on the Novice one again. So the only thing about the Novice one is, you know, if you have a really good action moment and you then press and you forget to press the button, well then your footage is not going to be there. So you just have to watch out for that, that's all. Now let's also test the audio. So let's test my audio on both cameras, 1, 2, 3. Runcam is going, and let's also test out the Novice camera. Okay, now let's also test out the Novice camera to see what that sounds like. So let's see how that audio looks and sounds. We're now talking, let's see. So first of all, I'm going to power on my cameras and we're going to take the footage off both of them. So I'm going to plug in and do that this second. So now I'm going to select the camera and I'm going to take the files I just recorded all off. We're going to go over and do the exact same thing with the Novice camera. So again, we do the same thing, just plug in. And actually, you do have to power on the camera for both cameras to do this. So I'm just going to power that on as well, and we should get it to pop up here, and Clipcam. And then these are all my individual clips that we just did there while we were doing the recording. So I'm going to throw them in here into Clipcam, and we're going to go paste. And you see how much quicker that is because they're such small files. Like the proof's in the pudding there. Like you can see the scope cam here, we've got 39 kilobytes. Here we almost got a megabyte. These are all, you know, quite short in terms of the kilobytes because they're just a few seconds, but these are like recording all the time. This is the footage that we did. So we have only one video for this, and we've all these little guys for the video we just shot outside. Okay, now we're going to go into my editing software, and we're simply just going to drag. I have like my review here, which I'm going to be editing, but I can simply just drag these in here. So let's take a look at this. Let's bring it down here just to show you on the timeline what they actually look like. So if I go back into my footage, let me first of all start by taking in this, which is the video from the Runcam. Let's drop that in the timeline. And then we've got all these individual little guys from a scope cam, or the Clipcam, the Novice Clipcam. So we'll drop all them in here too, like so. So first of all, you might notice that you can see this is a full aspect ratio. It's 16:9, which is your typical YouTube aspect ratio, or what you'd be watching on, you know, your TV or that kind of thing. And because this is 4K footage, I can click on this and I can I can actually zoom it in quite a lot, and you can see that the detail is still there when I zoom in. Like, look at the detail on that bush, and I can go back to playing. And that's the beauty with 4K footage, because if your scope is off center, you can just zoom in and move your footage around to center it with your crosshairs. So that's the nice thing about high resolution footage. But if we go over to one of these 16-second clips from the NovCLIPCam, you can see very clearly that it's a square aspect ratio, or a 1:1 aspect ratio, and it's just recording what you need for more of an Instagram type footage. But because this is 1080, so if I did want to actually make this 16:9 aspect ratio, I'd have to zoom in quite far, like so. You can still make it work. As you can see, that's it there. And it's actually not bad detail, but the problem is then your footage is very zoomed in where you might not want it to be. So while you can use it for YouTube, you're just going to have to zoom in an awful lot to get the 16:9 ratio. Whereas it's more designed for this aspect ratio, which is your upright or 9:16 ratio, the opposite way around essentially. And it's nice that they did make it square for that, because it means if you do need to center the footage left and right, you can. So there's a bit of flexibility. But yeah, that's essentially what you have with the two of them. Okay, so guys, first things first, let's get this Clipcam onto my Nov SSR9 DSG. Ooh, it's lovely. It's quite simple. You just unscrew the thumb screw, and in a few seconds then you can get your camera on. And obviously, like all Nov Airsoft replicas, he has a lovely rail that's actually purpose built for your actual scope cam to go on. So he's thought of it out of the box essentially, yeah? Okay, so that's it on. Now the weird thing here with this camera, as I said, it records back in time. So I don't click the button now and then start shooting. I actually have to shoot first and then click the button, which sounds weird. So let's just test out this camera. So that is now going to record the few seconds of shooting I just did. So that's the concept of this camera. And now the light has stopped, so I'm ready to go again. So that's it. Imagine you're in a game and you're having a bit of fun, getting into a bit of action. And you kill 2 or 3 guys there. Press the button and you're good to go. So that's recording it. So that's the concept of this. Now one thing I will point out is, look how nice that button is positioned. It's positioned like as if you're C-clamping it and your thumb just rests right on it. So very clever bit of design that. I think it's really, really nice. So I guess having looked at this camera, tested it out outside, what is my feedback or overall recommendations on it? Well, first of all, I would say that this is a camera that's made just for the average everyday player. It's not made or targeted against people like me, like a YouTuber that's putting out lots of footage, wants a bit better quality, wants things to be, not to miss any moments by having a recording all the time. Like, I can't get this to record all the time. It's a clip cam. So it's only capturing the moments you want, which is good, and that's why it's better for normal players. Noverge is kind of marketing this as, a cheater cam to make the sport more honest, and people can show stuff to the referees and stuff if there's any issues. I personally don't like that idea, right? It's a game of honor. That's like you taking down scores in your golf cart. But anyway, that's just the way they're trying to market it. For me, I think it's just going to be nice for people who want to show off cool memories on Instagram from their day airsofting, or fun little moments. I think it's going to be really good for that. And it's also going to be good for people who are not tech savvy on cameras, know anything about editing or anything like that. In fact, on the page where you can buy this, Noverge also has some scope or crosshair overlays that you can put over the footage to look like you're looking through a scope. So it's a very good beginner camera. But for me, it's not for me. I'm going to be sticking with my Runcam, but I would love to see Novert bring out a full-time recording camera. A little pet peeve that I have on this is the audio. It's not good. I think it's actually quite poor. And because this is meant to be an all-in-one package, you're going to rely on that audio in your Instagram videos. For me, when I'm actually gaming and doing proper YouTube videos, I don't use the audio off my scope camera. I use it off my head cam up here. And I use all the audio from that. But because this is the only camera you're going to be running in most cases, the people that buy it, you'd like that audio to actually be a bit better. So that's a bit annoying. The other thing that kind of annoys me, and you'll see it here, is most of these scope cameras, they always come with a protective glass like the Novert one here. But I remove that, and the reason being is sometimes the sunlight shines on the outside of that and it actually doesn't distort the image, but it certainly doesn't make the image as crisp or clear. So if I was using this camera, I'd punch out that. I know you're risking your lens in behind, but you can buy replacement lenses, so that doesn't bother me. I just wish Novert extended this or reset that protective lens back in a centimeter or so, and then it would act like a sunshade, making the image quality a bit better. Also, I would like to have seen that they used a thumb screw, so you don't need a screwdriver in the field to actually tighten this. So you can see Runcam here have thought of that, and it's quite a nice feature. I have to give them points on the heatsink and the reset button. I've had this camera, in fact, actually just last night, this got stuck on and I have to wait for it to run out of power and charge it up again. There is a combination to reset it by pressing a number of buttons, but it didn't work. Novert has that sorted, which I really, really like. So as again, this is not intended for kind of professional players or people wanting to make big videos. It's intended for the everyday player, which is quite nice. And in true Novert fashion, it's an out-of-the-box solution for you guys. I would like to see a higher resolution in this, because if there was higher resolution, you could actually punch in and use it for a 16:9 aspect ratio for like proper YouTube videos, as opposed to just shorts and Instagram reels. But you know, that's probably going to come in the next version without doubt. But in general, as cameras go, it's as simple as you can get, and it's really going to introduce a lot of people into the sport. It'll probably be a good starter camera, and then people will actually migrate onto cameras with more features in the end. But it's no doubt that it's going to be quite a popular little piece for a lot of people. If you guys are interested in getting this camera and it's for you, well, I have a link in the video description below, and by using that link you're going to directly help my channel, FoxGreen, so I appreciate it if you do use that. If it's not for you, just give it a miss, that's no problem at all. So guys and girls, thanks for watching this review video on the Novert ClipCam. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you thought it was insightful and gave you a bit of an insight into what this camera is for and my opinions on how it should be used or who it's targeted for. And as I said, I think this will be really good for the majority of players, but for me, it's not something I really need to use in my arsenal. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notifications button. I'm FoxGreen. See you soon.